Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Betting Pros PGA podcast. I'm Pat Fitzmaurice on Twitter at Fitz_FF, and that is Bo McBrayer on Twitter at Bo_McBigtime. The PGA Tour returns to the mainland this week after 2 weeks in Hawaii. It is the American Express. Bo and I are going to break it down from a betting perspective. We'll also tell you who we like and who we don't like. We're going to tell you who we like and who we don't like from a betting angle. We're also going to give you our one and done picks at the end of the show. So the American Express, the Amex is a multi-venue event in La Quinta, California. For the first 3 days, the players rotate between three courses: the Stadium course at PGA West, the La Quinta Country Club, and the Nicklaus Tournament course. It is a 54-hole cut, so we get the full field up until the final round on Sunday, at which point everyone plays the Stadium course at PGA West, a Pete Dye track. And the Stadium course, pretty much the only course in this rotation that has cameras and the shot tracker stuff for PGA. So basically, we're flying blind on the La Quinta and Nicklaus course stuff. Hard to follow what's going on other than seeing the scores. If you're trying to track it, that's always a little bit frustrating with this event. And these are relatively easy courses, Bo, especially La Quinta and the Nicklaus course. The Stadium course is short, a 7,187-yard par 72, small greens, but everyone is hitting them anyway. La Quinta, a 7,060-yard par 72, also short, also small greens. And the Nicklaus course, a 7,159-yard par 72, also short, but with bigger greens than the other two courses. So, bottom line, this is a birdie fest. We are going to see low scores. Jon Rahm has called this tournament a putting contest, and, well, Jon Rahm putted extremely well last year and won this event with a score of minus 27. One shot better than Davis Thompson, two shots better than Xander Schauffele and Chris Kirk. The winning scores here in recent years, aside from Jon Rahm, 2 years ago it was Hudson Swafford at minus 23. 3 years ago, Siwoo Kim also at minus 23. And 4 years ago, Andrew Landry at minus 26. You better get into the 20s in red figures if you want any chance to win. Bo, we have talked privately about this not being one of our favorite events on tour, to put it as diplomatically as possible. That doesn't mean we don't want to bet it. I'm eager to bet it, but I don't think...
We're so degenerate at this point that I'm actually looking forward to betting this contest, because you don't get a lot of the excitement that other tour stops kind of have built in. This is kind of set in the Coachella Valley, this is the only time of year where it's actually enjoyable down there. Most of the year it's 120 degrees down there in La Quinta, and nobody wants to play these courses 9 months out of the year. But for January, it's going to be beautiful. The courses are easy. The greens are lush. They've done everything in their power to make this an event that attracts most of the top guys on the PGA Tour who haven't defected to live. So I am looking forward to betting some of these lines, because the books have kind of given us a little olive branch this week.
Yeah, it's a better field than we're used to out of the Amex, I think. A lot of years, it's like in the past, I know it was like, you're betting or playing a one and done, like take Bill Haas and that's it. But now, yeah, it is. And Bill Haas is actually in the field, by the way. But we're not betting him, I don't think. I'm
just mad that Hudson Swafford, two-time Amex winner Hudson Swafford's not in the field, which is disappointing to me, because that was going to be a great line to bet.
So disappointing. Yeah, sometimes it's the lesser events that I actually do better on with betting, Bo. The Greenbrier, the John Deere. I love some of these other events, the Farmers and the majors, and I do terribly betting them. And then it's these lesser events that I clean up on. It's kind of strange how that works. But so these certainly I think these would be considered amazing courses by us if we were to play them relative to the Muni across the street that I play all the time. But for the touring pros, boy, in the coming weeks, we're going to be seeing the pros play some amazing tracks, some of the best on tour. Pebble Beach, the South Course at Torrey Pines, Riviera. Those are great courses. These are not courses that are going to test the steely nerves.
Just mentioning those names.
Yes, yes. So we're not going to get goosebumps with these 3 tracks. So, you've given me some of your thoughts. Anything else besides the, the fact that this is going to be one of the few times where it's temperate in this part of California?
Yeah, for me, it's all about understanding how this tournament kind of plays out. Where two of the rounds are not at the stadium course, which is kind of like it's a Pete Dye clone of TPC Sawgrass, but it's not nearly as difficult. The other 2 courses don't even have shot link, like you said, and those 2 rounds are actually going to be the difference maker for who wins this tournament. Because if you get a guy who's favored to win this thing, maybe he's got some really short odds and he doesn't go low at La Quinta or at the Nicholas course, then you're done. That's it. Like just drop the curtains already, because this tournament, just like last week, is conducive to a long shot winner. Because some of these great golfers that are top 10 in the world rankings, they're all here. The problem is they might not be just as any more likely to go super low on these courses than somebody who's 200, 300 to 1. And that's what makes this an absolute crapshoot. It's kind of fun to bet because you can throw a shotgun approach at a bunch of long shots with minimal investment. And just like some people hit last week with Grayson Murray, it wasn't me, but Grayson Murray popped up nowhere on anybody's stat models, but 500 to 1, and that you just never know what guys fighting for his status on the tour and looking for that early season win to get them and an exemption for the next 2 years. That's what's at stake at tournaments like this, where these very well-known players maybe don't have the advantage that the books imply.
We will get into the odds in just a moment, but first, if you want a chance to win a free 1-year premium Betting Pros subscription, you need to subscribe to the Betting Pros YouTube channel right now. Comment below on this video, and that's it. We will be announcing a winner right here on the channel, so make sure to turn on those notifications so you can be alerted when new episodes are up and to claim your prize. All right, Bo, before we get into the Amex, actually, a quick recap of last week at the Sony Open. Not a great tournament for us from a betting perspective, Bo. Neither of us had Grayson Murray, as you mentioned, at those extremely long odds. Murray got himself into a 3-man playoff with Ben on and Keegan Bradley after stiffing a wedge to a couple of feet on the 72nd hole, the par 5 18th, then won on the first playoff hole, hit a terrible tee shot, laid up, hit a sort of an indifferent wedge to 40 feet and dropped the 40-footer. Ben on could have forced a second extra hole with about a 3-footer and didn't even scare the hole, just a dead pull. And On's normally a really good putter. So that was wholly unexpected. You don't think On's a good putter?
He's one of the worst putters on tour, and that was the downfall of Ben On. Was getting to the green wasn't the problem for him. His short game let him down.
Wasn't On up there in strokes gained putting last year? I might be wrong about that. Maybe On's a terrible putter.
It's definitely not him. Right. He's a ball striker. Yeah. That surprised me 0%. Yes, I was surprised Murray drained the 39-footer to force that pressure packed 3-4 footer for On, and you could see his knees were trembling. That was a lot of just to keep the dream alive on a win, which would have been Ben On's first PGA Tour victory. Grayson Murray won his second event, I believe second or third, but first in a long time. But yeah, good story. Ben On, terrible putter usually, and that really just kicked that. That was disappointing because I had a little bit of DFS riding on Ben On and his success. So it is what it is.
So Grayson Murray wins. We'll see him at the Masters. Great. I don't think it was a great week For us, on Friday night, I did make a small bet on Ben On to win when he was plus 600. So, yeah, that didn't work out well. He was the co-leader at the time. Didn't work out. So
my guy Henley missed the playoff by one shot.
I know, just out of it. So let's not speak of the Sony Open again until January of 2025, Bo. And now we turn our attention to the American Express. The favorites, Scotty Scheffler, once again with the shortest odds in the field at plus 550. Wow, those are really short odds. Native Southern Californians Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay are both at plus 900. Justin Thomas, with his uneven 2023, is back. He is plus 1,800. Sung Jae Im plus 2,200. Minwoo Lee plus 2,500. Tom Kim plus 2,800. And Jason Day plus 3,000. Bo, do you have any interest whatsoever in Scotty Scheffler at those odds, plus 550? And do any of these favorites appeal to you?
So don't bet Scotty on short odds in a putting contest. Because if you look at every other metric besides putting, he's number one in this field. We're talking about one of the best ball strikers that we've ever seen play the game of golf. He is 149th in this field in putting. So I don't have much confidence that he's going to pull it all together to give us a modest payout of 5.5 to 1. I'm not there with Scotty until we see more of a groove, like where we see Scotty make putts 4 days in a row. Last time we saw him at the Century, he made putts 1.5 days out of the 4, and it was encouraging for a little bit. And then it went back to this guy, unless he's tapping in for birdie, he's not going to make a birdie. And that's not going to fly at La Quinta. I love Xander Schauffele here. He has extremely good event history here. You can't really say course history because there's 3 courses, but being somebody who grew up in the area, Xander and Cantlay appeal to me, but Xander at 11 to 1 just has a little bit more of an advantage on the putting and short game side on top of his ball striking. There's 11 to 1 for a guy with this kind of history at the Amex is exactly what I'm starting my betting slip with.
No, at 11 to 1, I like that. I was seeing plus 900 on DraftKings this morning.
Just updated at 11, so I'm gonna smash that number while I have it.
Okay, I like that because I don't know if there was value on him at plus 900.
No,
then you're looking at what are the implied odds? Like he's got to be basically 10% to win the tournament to get any value, or 11%. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't know about that. I don't know what his true odds of winning, probably a little bit south of 10%. But yeah, excellent players, certainly have a decent shot, and I totally agree with you on Scheffler. And this is a familiar refrain because we were saying the same thing at the Century, which was also sort of a putting contest, also very low odds for Scotty Scheffler. And Bo, I mean, I know you love Scotty Scheffler. I think he's the best ball striker on planet Earth. But and who knows? It's not to say that he couldn't repeatedly hit approach shots to 3 feet this week, make those, walk off at the winner at minus 25. That could happen, but it's probably going to be a putting contest, and Scotty's probably not going to win a putting contest.
And that's kind of where I'm at is, pretty much everyone who's watched golf in the last 3 seasons can expect Scotty Scheffler to get hot at a tournament he has no business winning, like this one, and just dusting the entire field. That is completely in the realm of possibilities. Is it probable for what we're betting on? No. And that's the business we're in, is trying to find out the best odds for increasing our bankroll. And smart betting says that you let Scotty win the Amex if he's so inclined, but you're not going to bet on that because it's a loser's bet. It really is.
Yeah. I assume you want to wait on Justin Thomas before getting back in on him after, such an uneven 2023 season for him. He was starting to get the wheels back on in September in the playoff, played respectably at the Ryder Cup, but it just seems like plus 1,800 is way too short for a guy who was not in great form last year.
He has updated to 25. It's still too short for me. Haven't seen him do anything of note, especially compared to Sung J M, who's another guy who's a favorite of mine at 20-1 here. And then JT Poston. You mentioned a couple of guys at 30-1, but JT Poston has been absolutely on fire. And the postman delivers. And he just shot a 61, 62 on yesterday at the Sony. This guy is scorching hot. He's an incredible putter. He's got really good chops from tee to green. That's the kind of the combination of stats I'm looking to build for my betting slips and my DFS lineups is strokes gained from tee to green and the correlation with strong putting or at least streaky putting as of late, like the last 36 rounds. I'm not looking for anything farther back than that. I just want to say, okay, is he rolling the ball well right now, and can he get from tee to green in fewer strokes than his opposition? JT Poston at 30-1, I think, is a smash play.
Poston is absolutely one of the best putters on tour, and if this is indeed a putting contest, he's in good shape for this. So, yeah, Schauffele was third here last year. Cantlay has 3 top 10s at the Amex in his last 4 appearances. Sung J Im's record here is interesting. He's finished 12th, 10th, 12th, 11th, and 18th. Wait. Anyway, yeah, he's finished between 10th and 18th in his last 4 trips here. So it's interesting with these guys. I don't know that track record matters to me that much on this course, Bo. Would you agree with that? Just because we've got the multiple courses, I'm looking more form and what kind of game do these guys have? What is the profile? What is the form?
Yeah, and that's kind of again leads me to Sung Jae and more of what have you done for me lately than what he's done here, which is pretty good, pretty decent history at the event. But I think Sung Jae just lines up well with all these courses. It's a second shot course again, or second shot event again, where you're looking to get guys who can make their own scoring opportunities on approach. And Sung Jae is among the best in the world at the yardages on approach that we're going to see here between 125 and 175 yards. Sung Jae is live to win this thing, and at 20-1, that's where I'm at. That's where I'm at here.
Download the free BettingPros app for iOS and Android. Sync your sportsbooks in less than a minute to automatically track your bets across all sportsbooks in one spot. After syncing, you will enjoy access to detailed bet analytics by sport and by bet type, including game picks, props, and parlays. You'll also get insights and personalized recommendations for props, game picks, and more tailored to your interests. To enjoy the benefits of Sportsbook Sync, download the BettingPros app by visiting bettingpros.com/apps or search BettingPros in the App Store. Let's talk about the large and interesting group of players who were listed at plus 3,500 on DraftKings as of Monday morning, Bo. Ricky Fowler, Wyndham Clark, Tony Finau, Sam Burns, JT Poston, who we just talked about, and Eric Cole. No one in this group has an eye-popping track record here, but again, it's not really about track record at the Amex. As far as I'm concerned, Bo, it's guys who can go low on easy courses at a decent price. Anyone from this group who appeals to you?
So we've seen a shift where the guy to bet in that group that you mentioned is actually Ricky Fowler, who's tumbled all the way to 60-1. And that's insane for me, because when I run my stat model, Ricky Fowler is in the top 10. And
wow,
to see him go from 35-1 down to 60-1, hammer that away, because that's one of the softest lines on this entire slate. Eric Cole at 35 is a great pick, because he's another one of those guys that can putt the lights out and go low on easy courses. And then, of course, you can't mention an easy course where scoring is great than without Tony Finau. Tony Finau on a place like this, he's done well here before. That doesn't mean as much as if it's the Rocket Mortgage or if it's the John Deere or if it's the American Express, Tony Finau can get as hot as anybody in the world and make a ton of birdies and eagles. And one of the stats that I logged in pretty heavily to my model was par 5 scoring. These par 5s are ripe for the picking on all 3 courses. Tony Finau, one of the best par 5 players in the world, and so that shouldn't be any surprise that I'd be betting him at 35-1.
What about Sam Burns? He has in his last 3 trips here a 6th, a missed cut, and an 11th, and he putts really well. Any interest in Sam Burns, Bo?
I did have interest in him because he did model well for me as well until Ricky started tumbling down to 60, and Sam staying steady at 30-1 is just too short for me. I think he's a solid play, but he's just like with the other guys in the same range that even have better odds and better payouts. I just can't do the Sam Burns leap because his odds don't tell me it's favorable.
All right, some mid-range plays with odds of plus 5,000 or shorter. Cam Davis plus 4,000, Shane Lowry, Daniel Berger, and Chris Kirk are plus 4,500, and Siwoo Kim plus 5,000. What about this group?
It's full of guys I like but don't love. I want to see them. I want to see their odds be a little more favorable. We have Akshay Bhatia at 55 that I'd prefer over these guys. Andrew Putnam 55. So for me, that tier is kind of weak because they're kind of overpriced when the tier next to them is underpriced. So if I'm making bets, I'm betting on the longer odds, tipping the scale for me on that one.
Yeah, Batia's interesting, lurking on the leaderboard, each of the 2 Hawaiian events. Now he returns to the mainland. Do you think the price is right on him? Is he still at plus 5,500 at last check?
Yeah. And for me, that's perfect. That's right where I want him to be. Any shorter than that, and I'm not interested because the field is strong. This is a stronger field than last week where he got 13th at the Sony. We missed out on the top 10 payout on Akshay by 1 shot. I was pretty upset about that. But Akshay being in that 55 range is perfect for him. You don't really have to invest a lot in the guy, but his talent is insanely high.
Yeah.
You can't really shake your fist at a guy who's playing that well, regardless of what golf courses he's playing. He's going low everywhere he looks. The new putter and putting stroke is working out well for him. You can't get enough of him, and until the sports books start catching on to how good he is, let's keep betting him because he's going to keep paying off those top 10s and top 20s at the very least.
Yeah, he's been looking good with that broomstick. And as you mentioned last week in our Sony Open preview, Bo, he is a prodigy. And he is destined to be one of these guys who's coming in at plus 2,500, plus 3,000 every week. Take the value now while you can get it. I kind of like Taylor Montgomery at plus 5,500. 6th here in his debut, 5th in his debut here at the Amex last year. Good putter, tied for 13th at the Sony last week with all 4 rounds in the 60s. Any interest in Montgomery?
No, not at all.
No.
As good of a putter as he is, he's one of the best putters in the world. He has a really solid short game, one of the worst ball strikers on the PGA Tour, and that includes everybody with sponsors exemptions, Monday qualifiers. You throw everybody who's in that stratosphere of PGA Tour golf, and Taylor Montgomery is a terrible ball striker. He's terrible off the tee. He's terrible on approach. He's the kind of guy where you look at it and go, yeah, every once in a while he'll find fairways like at Waialae last week where everybody's hitting long irons off the tee. It's like, okay, yeah, he's less likely to miss fairways and miss his target when he's hitting irons off the tee, lets his short game shine. These par 72 scoring opportunities at La Quinta, I just don't see Taylor Montgomery holding serve going low enough. I think he's fine. It's just for all that he's played, for how poorly he's played the last calendar year since the same event last year he did well. I just don't see any way he can score enough in this field.
Let me throw 2 more names at you, Bo. Once again, I'm going to bring up Alex Noren. Plus 6,500, great ball striker. Statistically, anyway, hasn't been a terrible putter the last couple of years. Not a fan?
So Alex Noren is the Dak Prescott of the PGA Tour. The stats look great, but they're empty calories. And I warned you about this last week with Noren, where, you could run every stat model known to man, and Alex Noren was going to be there at the Sony. He's going to pop up this week. He's a statistical marvel. But you get him in crunch time, and he folds like a lawn chair. It's unfathomable to see a guy with that much talent and so many flashes of brilliance without ever putting it all together. If I'm betting in this range, I'm leaning more towards Adam Schenk at 80-1. That's a more solid play for me, where a better, more rounded, well-rounded golfer with a little bit more of a heat. He's on heat check status right now, and he's a good at scoring par fives, and he's got that nice combo of putting and ball striking that I'm looking for this week.
Before we get into the long shots, Bo, one more. Adam Hadwin, plus 6,000. One of the best putters on the planet. He's finished second here twice. He also has a third place and a sixth place finish. Again, not a great ball striker, but a pretty
He's
good.
Better than Montgomery.
True. What do you think about that price?
I actually like Adam Hadwin this week. 50-1 is a nice solid number for him. 10-1 top 5, 4.5-1 top 10. Those are all solid lines for a guy that has played reasonably well over the last 3 seasons. He's a very consistent player. I like Hadwin, especially in that range. Long
shots, 100-1 or greater. Anyone you like?
I have a couple. Austin Eckroat has no business being 130-1 with how hot he is.
Yeah,
kind of like what we saw last week with some of these guys that came in. Like your defending champion was last week, or was 50-1, 40-1 with Siwoo, and it just seems like the books are kind of lagging behind prior results or even recent form. Austin Eckroat's playing out of his mind right now. He flashed. He was one good round away from winning last week at the Sony. So 131 Austin Eckroat, and then my guy who's just a top 20 and cut-making bet machine, Dylan Wu, 200-1 outright. I'm going to throw a couple bucks on his outright, but top 20 bet and make cut bet for sure on Dylan Wu.
Yeah, solid. Decent week at the Sony. Made the cuts.
He's okay,
yeah, it didn't finish great, but I like that play. All right, one other. I'm kind of intrigued by Matty Schmidt, the German, at 130-1. He is an absolute bomber. I don't know how good he is with the flat stick, Bo, but he did finish sixth here last year.
Yeah, and that's a guy I'm intrigued by as well, because he's a par 5 just dominator. He loves par 5s. And on courses like this where the par 5s are eagle and birdie opportunities, if you don't get birdie on these par 5s, you're going to be upset. It's almost like a double bogey on a par 4, because these par 5s are so gettable at all 3 courses. So if Matty Schmidt comes to play on the par 5s like we know him to be able to do, he can make some noise, especially at those triple digit odds. I actually like that play.
Yeah, he's going to be hitting these par 5s with 5 irons, I think. This guy can.
It's going to be 7 or 8 irons on some of these, because these par 5s are short. They're only like 520 to 550.
That's right.
I'd be hitting a 5 iron into those, Pat.
All right, Bo. As of now, what do you have on your betting card?
So I'm big on Xander at 11, Sung Jae at 20, Poston at 30, Ricky at 60. And then smaller bets on Schenk, Eckroat, and Dylan Wu.
Nice. I have Poston at 30. Jason Day outright only at 30. Got great putter, and when he's on, he's really on. So I'm hoping he catches fire this week.
He needs to get that approach game lined up again.
He does. Sam Burns plus 3,500-1 and plus 750 for a top 5. I locked him in at that this morning. Adam Hadwin outright at plus 6,000 and plus 1,200 for a top 5. And then I have a small bet on Mr. Matty Schmidt to win outright.
Let's go.
So, on to the one and done picks, Bo. You absolutely crushed me in Hawaii. Both weeks, you had Russell Henley at the Sony. He was good for a top 5 finish and 373,000. I had Corey Connors, made the cut and finished 57th or something and won $18,592. So for the year, you were up over $800,000 in only 2 events. I'm at about $70,000. I have some ground to make up. My turn to go first this week, Bo. I'm going to go with Adam Hadwin.
Okay.
Give me the hot putter in the putting contest.
Yeah, I can't go against that. I think it's a great one and done. Because I mean, what other event kind of lines up with, hey, it could happen more than this one? Like for you needing to catch up ground, this is a good pick for you. But at least I'll give you a consolation prize. You have at least made both cuts with your one and done picks. I mean, it's not as good as a top 5 in both events, but it's commendable that, like, last year I did one and dones for a few months, and I had so many miscuts that it was demoralizing.
Well, that's faint praise since the Century was a no-cut event, Bo, but I'll take it. Thank you.
You made the cut. Good job.
All right, so who are you taking?
I'm going to go with Sung Jae.
Oh, nice call. Nice call. I like it. So those are our plays for this week, our favorites and some of our not favorites. And that is it for us. Come join Bo and I again next week when we will be previewing the Farmers Insurance Open at Torrey Pines, one of those spectacular courses we were talking about, at least the South course anyway. We can pass on the North course, but, they're going to get around in there anyway. What are you going to do? So that's it for us. Until then, so long, everyone.